Good morning, Ethan. Welcome to
morning.
the Architectural Technology Podcast.
Thank you.
Ethan, last week we talked about using AI for technical documentation. And as I was looking through our notes, I realized we forgot a topic.
Oh, really? What is it?
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. So this is just a really short podcast. It's probably only going to be about 5 minutes of that. But it was about using AI to convert a technical document from one country to another.
Oh, really? What's your take? What's your experience? Have you tried?
I've tried it. It worked really well. So I'll tell you the situation. I'm working with Steve Skaisbrook, and we're rewriting the Mitchell's Construction series of books. And he'd written an article about SUDS, Sustainable Urban Drainage, I think it is. And it's about the problem with water. Where do we get water from? We use water in New Zealand, where I live. We're using potable water for doing stuff like flushing toilets and things like that. It just seems to me wrong that we're using high quality water for absolutely everything in the house. So SUDS is all about making sure that we can capture some water. And he talked about Birmingham and the issues they've got in Birmingham and the problem they've got with the river. And it was quite specific and local. And just for a laugh, I put it into Google Gemini and I said, hey, can you convert this to New Zealand for me? And so it looked at the structure of the document. So it didn't look at it word for word. It actually looked at the structure of the document and what topics it was covering. It then converted all of the units from gallons to litres. It converted Birmingham to Auckland. And it didn't just say where it would convert a river to a river. What it did, it looked at Auckland's drainage system. And it then converted the problem in Birmingham of the water supply from the river to Auckland's problem with the water supply from the Hunua Ranges. So it did a fantastic job of taking that data, or I called it the architecture of the document. It took the structure of the document, it then went and looked for local information that would suit that structure, looked for problems that suited the problems in the original document, and then reported on them. And it was a fantastic use, I thought, of getting AI to convert your technical documentation from one place to another. Now, the other thing I thought you could do with this is we could convert, let's say, for example, there's a building code in England about fire, about facade design. And you could take that document and you could put it into AI and get it to do a pretty good job, I reckon, of converting that to your local building codes. In California, it's the Title 24 information. You could ask it, like, can you take some of this information and make it suitable for my understanding? And I just thought it was a great way of taking some technical documentation from one country and converting it for what you're doing.
It's quite interesting.
You think of a student that has to write a report on a specific part of, like where we are in New Zealand. Let's say we've given the student an assessment and they have to write about something. They've done a Google search and they pick up a document, but it's actually in Australia or it's in England. If they knew that they could take that document and say, okay, convert this to my situation and change it to report what I need, then it could do a whole lot of that research and changing for them. And I just thought it was a really cool trick. We should have covered it last week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite interesting because I'm teaching 3 Danish exchange students, and they already studied in 2 years in Denmark. So because of the arrangement, they came to New Zealand and joined at the 2nd year. So they have a very good basics, and they know Revit. But the thing is, they need to connect the dots. They are connecting what they have learned and what in Denmark and what they're learning in New Zealand. And one of the things I noticed is, even though they are not using AI, they are converting what I've mentioned in the classroom to Danish context. So yeah, it's something like that. So maybe I will suggest them to try New Zealand building code to Danish and Danish building code to New Zealand. I can't read any Denmark Danish letter, but they can.
No, so that would be a great way to think about it, because they've got a lot of Danish concepts. So maybe getting them to convert those from Danish to New Zealand to help with their course, but also going back the other way, helping them to take what you've learnt back. So this was my prompt. A friend of mine has written an article about water in the UK. Can you please read this and edit it for New Zealand conditions? Please update all statistics about water loss, lakes, water supply to be suitable for New Zealand conditions. So it read his document, and then it gave me, the abstract was that it exposes the foundation of life, water within the context of Aotearoa New Zealand. We are considered water rich, our management of this resource. And then it went through and it talked about the groundwater, the potable water supply, local case study, did a conclusion, and it added the bibliography for me as well.
Oh, that's cool.
All in one magic document. I thought it was really fantastic. I just thought it was an interesting concept, taking a written article or taking an article written for England and converting it to my local situation. I then thought it'd be a great idea for a blog. And so look out for that. But Ethan, I just thought it was a fantastic technique for doing that. But I think that the prompt is really important, that you've got to be quite specific, give it the information. Yeah, I guess that's the end of our podcast today. Just a short one. We should have covered it in the last one. I'm really sorry. Subscribe to us on Spotify and be ready for the next one, which is going to be about visual programming and why we need it. Then thanks for joining me.
Bye. Bye.